I've been playing Toontown Rewritten quite a bit lately, making new tunes and training gags whenever I can. However, while I'm playing, I've noticed there are quite a few players that don't seem to be fully aware of how to efficiently train gags. Now that Cartoonival is around, I figure this would be a good opportunity to make a video on how to efficiently train your gags during the event, and almost always get the maximum amount of experience in every building you go into, or at least close to it, along with other good ways to train your gags too. If you don't know what Cartoonival is, Cartoonival, previously known as Toonfest, is an event that happens every September through October in honor of the original game, Disney's Toontown Online's closure. This event happens every year, so if you missed this year, don't worry, it'll probably come back around next year. You can buy many exclusive things within the event, but the main reward we'll be talking about in this video is the Merry Multipliers, which will double your gag experience gained for a certain amount of time. Now, before I go in depth about gag training, I want to go over a quick rundown of my own method on how to get the maximum amount of points, or at least a decent amount of points, within a 5-story building, depending on what your gag level is. This is in case you're watching and you're already aware of how gag experience works, and you just don't feel like doing the math yourself. There are plenty of ways to optimize gag training, so I encourage others to make up their own methods as well if you don't like mine, or if you have the time to. Feel free to give your own thoughts in the comments too. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know, the maximum amount of experience you can get within a single instance is 500 per gag track. So for example, let's say you've reached 500 points with your throw gag. You can also get 500 points with like your squirt gag or something, but you can't go over 500 points per like gag track within a building or a boss or a facility. Let's start at the very beginning with level 1 gags. If you have level 1 gags, buy all 10 of your level 1 gag. Your best option is to wait until the final floor to use all 10 of your gags. You won't get anywhere near 500 points. In fact, you'll only get like 120 without using a restock, but this will be more than enough to get you level 3 gags instantly. However, since it would likely be much faster and more efficient to just level your gags to at least level 3 before doing 5 stories, and the fact that lower level gags miss often, I wouldn't recommend running into a 5-story just to train level 1 gags. But it really depends on what gag you're training. So if you're training trap, for example, training trap in a 5-story with only level 1 is totally fine, in my opinion. Similarly, if you have level 2 gags, buy all 5 of your level 2 gags and all 10 of your level 1 gag. The same applies here as it does for level 1, just use all of your gags on the final floor, and you'll gain 240 experience. And this should get you level 3, but again, it's probably more efficient to just wait until you have level 3 gags to train in 5 stories. Now, starting with level 3 gags, you can actually gain the maximum amount of points in a building without using restocks. Once you have level 3 gags, buy all 5 of your level 3 gags, all 10 of your level 2 gags, and all 15 of your level 1 gag. And this next part is really important. Starting on the 3rd floor, and I'm specifically saying the 3rd floor, use 5 level 1 gags. This actually isn't needed to get maximum points, but if you're worried about gags missing or the cogs you're fighting against aren't very high level, or if there aren't many cogs in the building, this will give you 40 points, which can be helpful if you're running out of gags or if there just aren't enough cogs to use all your gags. If you feel like the cog levels are high enough, or if you're training drop, which has very low accuracy, save these 5 gags for the 4th floor. On floor 4, use 5 level 2 gags, and then the rest of your level 1 gags, which should be 10 if you used 5 on the 3rd floor. You should have gained 240 experience at this point, or if you saved your gags for the 4th floor, it'll be a little bit higher than this. The 5th floor will get you the rest of your points if you use the rest of your gags. Now, as a side note, if you can, you should almost always start with your highest level gag once you're on the 5th floor. The only times you wouldn't want to do this is if your highest level gag would destroy a cog in 1 turn, or in the case of lore, if your highest level gag is a group lore and you're against more than 1 cog. You would be better off using a single lure first, then using your group lure to lure the last remaining cog. Being able to use low-level gags first, then a high-level gag to destroy a cog will allow you to spend another turn hitting a cog and thus giving you more opportunity to gain experience. Once you have level 4 gags, buy all 5 of your level 4 gags, 10 of your level 3 gags, and really you don't need level 1 or 2 gags, but you can buy as many as you feel comfortable, I guess. You should definitely at least buy a few, maybe 10 level 2 gags to be safe, or if you're afraid of your gags missing, you can buy more than that. It's really up to you. You have a lot of leniency when it comes to gags missing, since level 4 gags and beyond are going to give you a lot of experience points. Starting on the second and third floor, you can use as many level 1 and 2 gags as you want, but for the sake of this video, I'd suggest to use at least 3 level 2 gags on floor 2, and 5 level 2 gags on floor 3. You could just completely skip floor 2 and just go to floor 3 if you want, but if you followed what I suggest in this video, you'll have 116 points by the time you're done with floor 3. If you're training drop, I would recommend to skip floor 2 and go straight to training in floor 3, so your amount of experience will vary if you do this. Now this is all strictly in case you fear your gags will miss, but you don't actually need to use level 1 or 2 gags at all moving forward. I guess I should also point out that you should never be using the gags that you're training on floor 1, and I'll talk more about that later. On the 4th floor, you can just get away with using 5 level 3 gags. That's it. Of course, you can use more level 2 or 1 gags if you want to, but if you followed everything so far, you can just use 5 level 3 gags and go to the next floor. On the 5th floor, use all 5 of your level 4 gags, then use 3 more of your level 3 gags, and you should be at max at this point. In fact, if you use level 1 and 2 gags on the prior floors, you'll probably get max points before you can even use 3 level 3 gags. Once you have level 5 gags, buy 3 level 5 gags, 10 level 4 gags, and however many level 3 gags you want. For the sake of this video, I'll say 5 level 3 gags. Let's go with that. Buy more if you have a low accuracy gag. I would not recommend buying level 1 or 2 gags at this point anymore, though, as their accuracy is going to be low and it'll waste time if you start using them at this point. Because in most cases, you really aren't going to need the extra points from those low-level gags, so buying the maximum amount of level 3 gags will be more than enough if you have a low accuracy gag such as drop. On the 3rd floor, start by using 3 level 3 gags. Completely skip floor 1 and 2. This will gain you 72 experience. On the 4th floor, you could use 4 level 4 gags, which will give you 232 points total. You can use more level 3 gags here if you want to, but you don't have to. Once you're on the final floor, you only need to use 3 level 5 gags and 2 level 4 gags to reach max, but if your gags missed a lot, you can use as many gags as you can manage on this floor. And finally, once you have level 6 gags, buy 3 level 6 gags, 7 level 5 gags, and however many level 4 gags that you want. In this video, I'll suggest 5, but you can buy more if you're training a low accuracy gag. Again, I would not recommend buying any gag lower than level 4 at this point, as the extra points aren't necessary, and the lower gag level is going to cause them to miss more frequently. Starting on floor 3, use 4 level 4 gags. This will gain you 128 experience. On the next floor, floor 4, use 4 level 5 gags, giving you 328 points total. You could use more level 4 gags here if you want to, but you don't have to. On the final floor, use 3 of your level 6 gags, and you should hit max points. If you're not at max points, use the rest of your level 5 and 4 gags. Since you need to buy so little gags, you could even train another gag alongside the one you're currently training if you wanted to. Level 6 gags alone will give you so many experience points on the last floor, so there's a lot of room for error if your gags missed and you used a lot of gags on the prior floors. So training level 6 is actually like the easiest gag to train at this point because you're just getting so many points. I guess I should talk about sound, since sound's capacity was nerfed. These numbers aren't exactly going to work the same way with sound, but sound's a gag that has very low damage by itself, so waiting until the 4th and 5th floor to train your sound gags regardless of your maximum level is a very efficient way to train them. And you won't need to use much to maximize your experience since the experience gain is so high on these floors. Just remember to leave your highest level gag for the last floor, and maybe save a few of your second highest gag for the last floor too. But sounds pretty easy to train. Just wait until the higher floors and use your lower gags first, and then move up to your higher level gags once you hit the final floor. Overall, you should be getting a good amount of experience by following these guidelines, even if you're unable to get max points every time. Just make sure you bot a multiplier, and try to stay in an invasion that has a reasonable cog level, especially if you're training low accuracy gags like drop or lure. In my experience, I've had the best time training in tier 4 or 5 cog invasions. These are your glad handers, your mover and shakers, your number crunchers, your bean counters, those kinds of cogs. These cogs have a minimum level of 4 or 5 respectively, and a maximum level of 8 and 9 respectively, so it's a pretty decent level to train your gags. Their levels are not low enough so that you're killing cogs too quickly, but they're also not high enough that your gags are going to be missing super often. So, you might be wondering now, why does all of this work this way? Unlike in other areas in Toontown that have set multipliers throughout the entire instance, building multipliers depend on what floor you're on. So, let's look at this poorly drawn chart I've made to show how building multipliers work. This chart explains what the multiplier will be for the floor you're currently on. As you can see, floor 1 gives a multiplier of 1, meaning you won't be getting any bonus experience by using a gag. This is why using gags you're training on floor 1 isn't a great idea, because essentially this is the same as using a gag on the street. Now, from floor 2 beyond, we can see we're actually getting some kind of multiplier. It's a weird number though, you're getting a multiplier of 1.5. Interestingly, experience rounds up. For example, cream pie on floor 2 gives an experience shield of 7.5. But if I use the cream pie on floor 2, I'll be getting 8 experience instead of 7. Even if you use 2 gags, each individual gag experience rounds up. So I used 2 elephant trunks on floor 2 and I got 16 experience instead of 15. I'm honestly not sure if this is intentional or not, so it might be changed in the future, but either way, it doesn't really matter in this video, but I figured I'd talk about it because it's kind of interesting, and I thought that gag experience rounded down, so I guess it's kind of good to know if you wanted to train in a non-invasion for some reason. From this point, the experience multiplier goes up by 1.5 each floor, so floor 3 has a multiplier of 2, floor 4 has a multiplier of 2.5, and floor 5 has a multiplier of 3. Keep in mind, this is just the base experience multipliers on floors. This is before we add any other multiplier to the equation. Now, let's add an invasion multiplier. Invasions will always give you double the amount of experience on street battles and buildings. Note that this does not apply to cog facilities and bosses, which seem to have their own unique multiplier. This is why you see so many people trying to do buildings during invasions. You can see how high the multiplier gets. The multiplier of 6 is already pretty high, but we still have one more multiplier to add to this equation. Once you've bought Merry multipliers, your experience will yet again be doubled. This is effectively quadrupling your experience if you're in an invasion. By floor 2, you're already getting as much experience as a 5-story would in a regular invasion, so you really don't need much to maximize your experience gain on higher floors. Because of this, you can certainly get 500 points from doing 4 stories or even 3 stories if you used enough gags. It may even save you a headache too if you find that all the 5 stars have been taken already. And that's about it when it comes to explaining building multipliers. Use this knowledge to make up your own strategies that would be comfortable for you when you train your gags. Buildings aren't the only place you can train your gags. Oftentimes, I will see players train in facilities, namely the Bullion Mint, thanks to its relatively reasonable length and cog levels. Booleans only give a base multiplier of 4, 8 with the multipliers, so it's not as efficient as training in buildings. However, they can still be a great place to train your gags, especially if you have tasks that require them or if you're working on your cashbot promotion. You can even make Toon HQ groups that specify your training gags within the mint. Just make sure to tell your group that you're training your gags so that everyone's aware of it and okay with it. Not everybody who does these facilities are willing to take the extra time to allow people to train their gags, so please be mindful and respectful of that. Steel factories also give a multiplier of 4 by default, so you could also train your gags here. There are many restock barrels as well, and they're static, so they don't change, they're not randomized like they are in the mints. It's a decent place to train your gags and get a lot of experience depending on what your gag track is. Before I reach the conclusion of this video, I'd like to share a couple tips while training gags that might be useful to know. Firstly, let's discuss how to gain experience points in a cog battle. This is pretty basic stuff. You hit a cog with a gag and you gain experience for it, but it's a little bit more complicated than this. You may have noticed that sometimes when you select a gag, the button will be faded blue rather than its normal bright blue color. This is because you'll only gain experience if the cog you're facing is equal to or higher than the level of the gag you're using. Most players already know this, so the reason why I'm talking about it here is because you actually can target and defeat a cog that's lower level than the gag you're using, while still gaining experience. You see, when using a gag, the game will always look at whatever cog is the highest level when determining experience. That means if you're facing against a couple cogs, let's say one's level 3 and one's level 5, if you use a level 5 gag on the level 3 cog, you'll still gain experience for it, even if the gag destroys the cog. This is thanks to the level 5 cog that's also in the battle. If you defeated the level 5 cog first, you wouldn't be able to gain experience by using a level 5 gag on the level 3 cog. This is extremely useful to know, especially when you're training low accuracy gags such as drop or lure. The lower level a cog is, the more likely your gag will hit on them, so let's put this in practice. You're in a building right now. In front of you is a level 7 cog, a level 5 cog, and 2 level 4 cogs. You're on the last floor, so you really want to use your piano gag. Piano, as you know, is a level 6 gag, so if you were to use it on the level 7 cog first, you wouldn't be able to gain experience with your remaining pianos on the rest of the cogs. Because of this, we will lure and save the level 7 for last. At this point, the order in which you attack the cog does matter very slightly. While level 4 and 5 cogs are fairly low and piano has a decent chance to hit both of them, we will target the level 4s first. That way we have the highest possible chance of our pianos hitting in this scenario. Then we will target the 5 with our last piano. In short, when training low accuracy gags, target the lower level cogs first, then work your way up to the higher level cogs. And that's really all there is when it comes to gag training. It can take a lot of time, even with the multipliers, but it goes by much quicker during the event, and having a method makes it faster as well. Ideally, you would want to have a good group of friends to train with, or you can control multiple tunes by creating new accounts, but if you're unable to do either, running with other players and buildings is completely fine. That being said, there may be times where you run into players who aren't training gags that align with your own. Make sure to discuss what you're training with your group so that everybody may do their best to train what they want to train without much issue. Following these steps, you will still have a lot of opportunity to gain a great amount of experience regardless of what group you're with. Also, buildings are going to be taken very quickly during this event. With that being said, please do not attempt to steal other players' buildings. This is actually against the rules, and if you see other players doing this, you should report them. There's really no need to steal buildings from other players during this event anyway, because you're getting so much experience even by just running 3 or 4 stores, or just by doing cop facilities like the factory or mint. So please be kind to your fellow Toons. Don't steal buildings. There's really no point in doing this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful to you. If you're not one to run buildings with random players, I will be streaming quite often during this event, so feel free to stop by my Twitch streams. I'll put a link in the description and on screen. And I'll be streaming Toontown every Wednesday at 2:30 PM Eastern Standard Time. However, it's likely that I'll be doing more streams than these, since I'll probably have a lot of time to play Toontown during the event, so I'm more than happy to run buildings with other players, or just do tasks, or help with boss runs or facilities, or if you just want to chat, that's fine too. But feel free to stop by and ask for help if you want to. We have other chatters who stop by regularly, so it's a nice place to hang out or just chill if you want to find some cool people to talk to. Either way, good luck with your gag training during the event, and stay tuned, everyone.